Desert Skies is an early access Avava game that was developed and published by White Rabbit Games on May 30, 2019. The game can be played as a single player only, and you can buy it for $20 on Steam. Desert Skies takes survival to the air. Build an airship and fly on an adventure through the deserts of the Wild West. Look for places to land and scavenge for loot. Expand your airship and craft new equipment, but beware the dangers lurking beneath the sands. This review will be separated into different sections, and you can see all the timers down below in the description. I will much appreciate if you subscribe to ICOnlyBlue for all of my live streams and random videos. ICOnlyBlue reacts for my raw reactions about different subjects, and ICOnlyBlue reviews dedicated to provide you with the best honest reviews and first impressions. With no more delays, let's begin with the menu settings. You can create or continue your previous game with a click of a button. Normal mode has a hostile creature that will chase you around all the time, and exploration is for a more relaxing and enjoyable playthrough. The general settings is a combination of mouse and music options. You can customize your crosshair and constantly adjust your mouse sensitivity since it keeps resetting every time you load the game. Events are for different themed gameplay. Music that was good but inconsistent with only one audio slider. On this tab you will expect to see functionality tacos, the removal of different effects, options to enable different UI elements, and overall anything that could change your gameplay experience to your preferences. The mouse options should have been under bindings, and music under a different tab with way more available sliders. Under graphics, screen mode also kept resetting, making my entire playthrough almost unplayable since I use G-Sync that can be utilized only by exclusive mode. Vertical sync, max target FPS, and customizable FOV is also available, but brightness currently doesn't do anything. Although you have customizable graphical settings, it is highly advised to turn everything off since the game is terribly optimized. The available options are good enough for the current stage of the game, with the expectation to fix and improve them. Out of the three tabs, bindings wins them all. You can customize every keybind to your preferences, with the only limitation not having tacos for spring and crouch. Overall, a 4 out of 10 for the in-game settings. The story began with rumors of terrifying creatures attacking people, and that's how the first town was wiped out. Years have passed and everyone has fled east, leaving behind a ghost land. You were part of an expedition organized by the scientist Nikola Tesla to investigate the creatures and their origin. A hot air balloon kept you and your crew safe on the sky, until a sandstorm destroyed most of the airship and took the rest of your team with it. All you have left is few supplies and a broken raft that will help you reach your destination. You've spotted some wagons in the desert ahead, and you have just enough fuel to make it there. You might find supplies, and if you scavenge enough to get back into the air, then you might be able to leap from a location to location and build enough to fly far west, solve the mystery, and stop the monsters. This is the generic plot of the story, which sadly fails to deliver and attract your interest. A brief introduction to the story is delivered via the first loading screen, and the narration of the rest of it through notes written by the previous survivors while the attacks were happening. The story begins at the wagon location where the loading screen left you. Your character says that it's too dangerous to stay on land, forcing you to get the resources from around and immediately fly to your next destination. You will land at the western town, and the first note you will find used the terminology creatures, which at the time it didn't make any sense, since the developers don't have any proper introduction to the story. At first, you will be confused, and for the most part, nothing will make sense. A good story has a good beginning, which in my opinion needs a lot of work. You read one note that doesn't make any sense, and few seconds later you have a weird creature trying to kill you. Every single note that I read was either someone is trying to convince someone else that the creature exists, or the opposite. Once I started understanding what was going on around me, I was able to read the notes and get a generic idea about the plot of the story. The lack of interaction with the local NPCs made the story boring and uninteresting. You get the chance to meet with the only available NPC mid-game that adds no value into the story, questioning yourself whether the future NPCs will hold any value. It was nice to finally have someone to talk to, but it was very disappointing ending at the end. There were moments where I was very immersed with the story. The location I was and the note I was reading made the game so immersive, but that was easily ruined by the repeat of the same assets, the unrealistic mechanics of the Seeker, and the minimal amount of notes. It is safe to say that the story will change, but I hope we will get a better introduction and more interesting narration. Overall, a 5 out of 10 story. The game begins with you and your airship falling from the sky towards the wagon location. While gathering the required items in order to go to the next destination, you also gather other resources that have no use at that time, creating a lot of confusion to new players. A good introduction to the game mechanics will be to gather only consumables and fuel, since those are the only things you need at the beginning. There is no reason for the game to give you a rotor and a hand wheel if the game is not expecting you to use it before leaving the area. The second location takes you to a western town, where the game is assuming that you will find the workbench hidden inside one of the houses to craft your first axe. This location also gives you enough resources to craft a bed, a chest, and a steering wheel, assuming you will find all of these resources from those two locations. The game gives you no information about it, so you could easily skip any of these craftables, leading you towards restarting your game again and again until you do it. There's an island over there, so I'm supposed to be able to have a wheel by now to be able to steer towards that island, or is that what is... You know, there's a lot of unnecessary confusion. This confusion could easily be solved by having a taskbar telling you what you need to craft before leaving each location, since the game gave me items that I couldn't utilize, and the fact that I saw different locations around me made me think that I was supposed to craft a steering wheel before leaving the starting zone, so I restarted my game to make sure I wasn't making any mistakes. You tell me. Let's hear your assumptions. That wasn't the first time that I started over. I had to start over multiple times, because the game assumed that I will do certain tasks without forcing me, giving me a task or a clue. I restarted my game because I didn't see the workbench inside the house. Grab all of these resources, and with the resources that I have on me from this island, go back and make a workbench. It does not make sense to have a workbench, assuming that I will stop and come and find it. If I skip this, my playthrough is done. And by the way, it was a playthrough that I came over here and I literally skipped it and I fucked myself and I had to reset. Another one for not knowing that I could gather sand from around. I cannot continue the game, I cannot make the actual review if I haven't actually finished the game the way it's supposed to be. That's my fifth gameplay that I went like very far away and had to restart because of bugs, problems, or glitches, or things that I'm supposed to be doing, and because the game doesn't give you any information about basic stuff such as go get sand from around here, go get food and seeds from these cactuses around here, because there is no information, and there is a lot of assumption. On every playthrough that I was doing, I was missing something and I was learning something, I was finding out something new, so I had to go all the way back because it was affecting overall the entire game. When a game like that, your entire playthrough is going to get affected by one wrong decision, you want to make that specific thing as loud and clear as possible. Another one due to bugs and glitches, maybe not worth it. Thanks. Not thanks. He backed out again, chat. I can't take it off. I'm spamming the buttons. 1, 2, 3. $50, $20. I don't even know what to say. It's one bug after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other, after the other. And it continues and continues and continues and continues. I die to fix the bug. Another bug is created on top of that one bug. I restart my game 1,000 times. And here is another bug appears. Right now is that market over there that I cannot do anything. If I try to equip this and then unequip it, you bugged again. Can't do anything. Can I even interact with my box? The most frustrating of all is how the gathering and crafting system works. On every single biome, on every new location, a motherfucker that is gonna give you a quest and tell you exactly what you need to do. It needs a tutorial. I have been playing this game for 15 hours so far, and I'm restarting for the 4th time just because it doesn't do that information. It's annoying. Really annoying. So you feel like 15 of your hours were wasted just because the developers are incompetent giving informations about their own mechanics that they designed. Does not follow any traditional ways, does not give you any information about how to do anything, and go figure. A guy that played the 150 survival games can't find out basic shit. It's like the game is playing with your mental capacity chat. You understand how triggering it is? The developers have no previous experience with survival games, and it shows. Survival games work in a very specific way. You enter the game with nothing in your inventory, you gather raw materials from around, you craft your first tools, and you use those tools to gather the required materials in order to craft your first workbench. Desert Skies broke every unspoken law by forcing you to find those workbenches and use them in order to make the same workbench for yourself. Let me explain. In order to make a workbench, you need rope. You can make rope using a workbench. In order to make a forge, you need nails. Nails are made out of iron ingots that comes out of a forge. You can create nails at a blacksmith, and in order to make a blacksmith, you need nails. You find a workbench that can make the brazier, so you can make the device that can make the brazier, which that does not fucking make any sense. In this case, I will assume this is the blacksmith. If you open your inventory, if I find that I need brazier in order to do the blacksmith, then I just prove my point, which is stupid. So blacksmith should be here, and it requires a brazier. It's stupid to force me to go to find a workbench to make the resources to make the same workbench for me. Does not make sense. It does not traditional survival game. I hope you understand my frustration. Most of the locations tied to the story has those workbenches that you have to use in order to advance your craftables. If you find the blacksmith, you will assume that you are supposed to have all of the required materials in order to make one yourself. If for some reason you don't have the resources because you didn't loot carefully enough, then you probably need to restart your game and loot better. There is always the possibility to fly back into your previous destination, but due to terrible mechanics, you are most likely to end up in a completely different location even if you follow the correct colors on the sky. I am so confused. What's this about? Big cave, the blacksmith. What? We are all the way back to the blacksmith. I was going to say this looks exactly like the blacksmith from the very beginning, but I felt like I will be very dumb if I say that, so I didn't. We are actually back into the second location. What? Did we just do a full loop? More I play, more my brain is frying, trying to make some logic sense out of this game. This can easily be solved by changing the recipes in a way that is closer to a traditional survival game. If the developers want to keep this system and create their own crafting style, then they definitely need to make it more clear about how their system works. If you are like me that plays survival all the time, then this game will most likely frustrate you and confuse you. It blows my mind that I can craft all of these workbenches using my inventory, but I needed an entire workbench for crafting an axe. Why do I need a workbench to make rope out of fiber? Let me craft them on me and use them to craft my first workbench. I really don't understand the force to use their pre-located workbenches. It really serves no purpose other than confusion. The only logical explanation would be to slow down the progression of the player and have control over their progression. This could easily be solved by locking the recipes themselves behind a quest line that can be unlocked after completion. In the traditional way, we tend to work backwards. We check all of our craftables and we try to see which of the machines we can craft with the available resources. In order to get glass, we need a shovel. In order to make a shovel, I will assume we need a blacksmith. In order to make a blacksmith, we need anvil. I don't know how to get anvil, so that's where I'm like, Doing that on this game leads you nowhere, because fully crafted items such as an anvil, crucible, and brazier can be found next to workbenches, making the advancement and progression of your character even more confusing. And an anvil. Why You don't allow me to craft the fucking anvil and the fucking brazier, so I can unlock this stuff by myself, and you have these to force me to go and find this workbench so I can craft the crucible, so I can craft this machine that makes the crucible. I don't understand it. It does not make any sense. It feels like an asset flip system that had no real thought behind it. Slap workbenches in different locations, use the available assets as crafting resources, and if we can't make an anvil as a craftable, then just throw it next to the workbench and call it quits. Is it because you don't have any space left? I did my absolute best to explain to you how gathering and crafting works, so let's dive into the craftables like I always do. By pressing B, you open your inventory tab that includes all of your wooden structures, a workbench for all of your basic craftables and tools, an artificer for better navigation, and grill for cooking canned food only, and blacksmith for crafting metal items and tools, and gunsmith for crafting guns and ammunition, a Tesla for the last available tier of items and tools, a smelter for making glass, iron, and gold, and distillery for making alcohol, a nail rig that produces nails automatically in an inefficient way, a planting bed for growing one type of tree and fruit, a small, medium, and bedside table for storage, resource storages, an engine for rotating your airship, a navigation weather vane, a help for steering your airship, a sleeping bag, and a bed for skipping to 3 prelocated time periods without consuming any resources, and grindstone for sharpening your tools, a table, shelf, and lamp for decoration, and finally your deconstruction hammer. These are all of your current craftables with their recipes. A proper house tour will showcase how I utilize every single craftable the game offers, with the ultimate goal to create an immersive and fully functional base. Sit back, relax, and enjoy a short clip. This playthrough was around 35 hours, including the multiple restarts. Some of them was at the beginning and others in the middle of the playthrough. Now that we have a good understanding of the mechanics of the game, including how gathering and crafting works, let's make a new game. Say hello to the wagon, collect the resources the game is asking you to collect, fuel your airship and fly to the western town, collect all of the resources, craft an axe by the hidden workbench, chop all of the trees, leave this item last, and run to your ship to make the Seeker despawn, craft a bed, a storage and an engine, and say goodbye to the worst introduction to a survival game. On the sky you will see 3 lights. Green represents your next POI, yellow is your previous, and white is small camp areas generated by the game. The ones with no color are only for grinding resources. Every available location has limited resources, and if you are tired of that limitation, just harvest, save, and relog. Welcome to exploits. Sadly, my dignity is too high, so I actually went from a location to a location and grinded all of these resources for hours. The movement of the character felt really good, but the unrealistic and annoying seekers spawning around me every 30 seconds and tracking me across the map made my playthrough unplayable and tedious. He is tracking you, bro. Across the map. Look. Oh no, now I'm alerted. It just happened for me to come towards you. You can always run to your airship to make the Seeker despawn, have a knife in your inventory to deflect his attack, or have 3 golden bullets to kill it. Since the first encounter with the Seeker, I wanted to play the game at the exploration mode with no combat. Did we accomplish that playing normal mode serves no purpose? Do we have to continue with the normal mode again? That is just gonna bring annoyance for no reason whatsoever. Do we want that, or do we actually wanna play the exploration mode where we actually play the game? But since I am reviewing the game, I had to find alternative ways to trick the AI in order for me to loot uninterrupted. One way was closing the door of a house just before it attacked me, confusing it and locking it inside houses, bunny hopping in order to outrun it, and farming countless golden bullets to use all the time. My advice will be the complete removal of the Seeker until the developers create a better hide and seek mechanics. He's already walking towards me, bro. I'm crouching. What do you want? What do you want? An alternative solution is the display of a noise meter at the top left corner that will indicate the level of noise you produce and the amount of noise required for the Seeker to trigger. Personally, I recommend both solutions, a noise meter and a better hide and seek mechanics. A lot of people will compare this game to Raft, but I assure you there is very few similarities between the two games. Both use the same expandable idea, both have annoying enemy chasing you around all the time, but everything else is completely different. The overall idea could look similar, but the actual game mechanics have no similarities. Your entire playthrough consists of you reading repeated and boring notes, going from location to location gathering resources, and constantly questioning yourself about your life decisions. Overall, a 5 out of 10 gameplay. Graphically, the game looks pretty good. Beautiful art style, interesting and colorful workbenches, realistic environment, and probably one of the best lighting systems I ever seen. The way the shadows interact with the sun and the type of light used by the indoors lamps made my base look colorful and pretty. It was very enjoyable seeing the trees growing, and the few available cosmetics added so much value into the decoration of my airship. The game is in a very early stage, and it is safe to assume that more decoration will be added. The developers might not know how to make a good survival system, but they definitely know how to choose some good assets from the store. There are no weather effects or anything special to make the game more interesting, but I need to give them credits for allowing me to display my resources in such a beautiful way. Overall, an absolute 8 out of 10 for graphics. Although each point of interest felt realistic and immersive, the scale of the resource areas was too big and empty. It felt blank and boring, and even worse while flying. All you see is emptiness and endless amount of sand. There are different biomes, but every single location almost felt identical. Once you see one of these locations, you pretty much seen it all. In order to craft all of these structures, you need to fly from a location to location. Every single node you find tells you to go west, but other than the 3 colors, there is no guide to help you understand the navigation system. Huh? Multiple times I end up at locations that had no colors around me, and other times I end up going backwards instead of forward. There's no indicators, there's no lights, there's no nothing. After many hours of getting lost, I realized that moving north or south will take you towards the different biomes, east and west to go to the different POIs, north and west or moving forward, east and south for moving backwards. There are times that you will see two green colors, which one of them indicates that you are going to the correct biome and the other one pointing towards your next destination. Other times you end up going so far back that it just throws you out of the loop. What? Did we just do a full loop? It would have been so much more convenient if you could just open up a map and follow your desired destination. Instead of that, you get lost all the time unless you know how to navigate around. All of the areas around you, including the resources, are randomly generated, and sometimes that could cause a lot of issues. For at least 5 hours, I was going from a location to location trying to find leather to craft a pickaxe. I was moving from a camp to a camp, POI to POI, backwards and forward until it finally happened. How come? Jesus Christ. Get some progress on the chat for the leather finding. Jesus Christ. The developers are working on adding more locations and changing a lot of things, but at the current stage of the game, exploration feels repetitive. The last 3 biomes uses the same POIs from the previous biomes, creating a lot of errors and confusion. There is a message telling you that everything is under development, but is worth mentioning. If it wasn't for the countless hours of getting lost, I probably could have had way less hours of gameplay. Overall, a 5 out of 10 for exploration. Since the beginning of the review, you have been listening to the menu and the in-game music. VOTS Supreme did an amazing job creating a music that will get you on your feet. Since the combat music was triggering every time that the Seeker was chasing me, it forced me to mute the music for my entire playthrough. Very enjoyable music, but way too inconsistent and repetitive. My expectations for the future is a smoother and slower music while flying and a more energetic and dynamic while looting. The fact that I had no sliders for the in-game sounds made the overall experience less enjoyable. As for the rest of the sound effects, it's up to you to decide. Overall, a 7 out of 10 for the in-game sound. An early access title comes with a lot of bugs, issues and missing features. I ensure you that I left the best for last. The Seeker attack kept glitching my entire interface, forcing me to restart my game all the time. It even got to a point where I was forced to start a new game. Ah, fuck. We glitched again, but we didn't. We glitched, but we didn't. I broke the game so many times, it's just not fun anymore. Should we just start a new game now? Inconvenient Seeker spawn points? Hey, you spawn over here. What do you want me to tell you? Yeah, good luck. This game is so dumb. Terrible hide and seek mechanics. Shh, I'm gonna go this way. You see that stone over there? I'm gonna go get that one. Shh. He's already walking towards me, bro. I'm crouching. Duplicating items. Nice. I'm glad that we have some coal. The glass has came back, I see. I think. You see? There's glass again over here. It has to be a glitch. One of the worst building mechanics. So stupid that I need to do double walls in order for it to actually look good. That is so dumb. I don't know why they went with this. They already have like issues with lag. Why did they do that? For me to actually make it outside good, I need to double wall it. That's why you usually have the texture, the good texture outside, and the planks from the inside. They really don't play survival games, don't they? Fundamentally, this is so wrong. And it bothers me, triggers me. I need to actually put a ceiling up above here to make it look correct. It's crazy. Seeker attacking you through the doors. Stop attacking me through the walls. No indicators for what is triggering the Seeker. RNG refusing to give you leather. What the fuck is wrong with that leather, bro? I don't understand. I really don't understand. Hours of playthrough, bro. I got one leather after hours and hours and hours. Exploitable resources gathering by restarting the game. Indicators for your next destination kept resetting or not showing at all. There's no indicators, there's no lights, there's no nothing. 2 automated machines that are not automated since you need to recharge and refill them every few seconds. The power goes down way too fast. The alcohol, way too fast. Alcohol is not easy to make, so relax a little bit. Or at least make it bigger container. I need to sit over here and babysit the automated machine, dude. Is it automated or is it a manual machine? Mouse sensitivity and screen mode kept resetting. Mouse sensitivity resets again. Resets again. Resets again. Terrible optimization leading towards lowering my settings mid-game, and that's why half of the footage looks weird. I'm like right now, no moving 87, 86 FPS. 47. But it looks so much better, right? The fruit tree not growing anything? Are you gonna ever grow anything? Duplicating quests due to bad coding? He wants me to do the quest again. This is so fucking dumb. No, actually he wants a full bucket of water, right? Don't do me like that. Really? You're supposed, apparently, to kill him, the Seeker, in this area. So what I did, I trapped him in a house and I just ran back to despawn him. I mean, I didn't want to despawn him. I just wanted to store all of my loot that I grabbed from this area. And him disappearing rendered as me completing the actual quest, which in this case, it is not what I wanted to do. The parameters of the quest would have been kill the Seeker by obtaining a new item or by a trigger. A quest trigger. The questline configuration of this game, it's not existent. It is configured like a 10 years old kid configured his first questline. It needs work. This is basic things, parameters, conditions. This is basic stuff, and I'm not even a developer. No tutorials or guide to help you learn the game. So this specific one gave me a lot of frustration. It went to hype me a little bit. It was like, I'm getting so fucking hyped. I finally understand what's going on. And it's like, yeah, right on the guts. It's like, hey, what? You tried to enjoy my game? No. Not allowed. And if I think harder, I'm sure I will find more. The biggest issue that I had with the game was the way each object was rendered by the character's camera. The first day that I played the game, I ended up with a bad headache due to the shakiness caused by the game. Looking at different posts and learning more about scripting, it seems this is a camera script error. If this is stationary like that, and you are moving, and the way that it renders the environment, your character renders the environment, doesn't have a good correlation with the actual object, will introduce that tearing, that tremble, that stutter. What you need to pay attention here is the object vibrating while rotating around it. It is not a camera trick, it is not an in-game glitch, it is not a bad graphical setting. While being stationary, the object is sharp, but while moving and rotating around it, makes it vibrating aggressively. This happened to every single asset in the game, including your craftables and placeables, making the entire playthrough unplayable and at times painful. The developers really need to wake up and fix it as soon as possible. The fact that I was the only person that pointed this out makes me feel that either everyone else is blind or I have superpowers. I could clearly see it through other YouTubers' videos, but not a single person said anything. If you have motion sickness or if you are sensitive to this vibration like me, then I will highly advise you to avoid playing the game, especially at high refresh rate, since it becomes more obvious. If you can't see it even after my demonstration, then you just need to take my words for it. It is a real thing. I will leave a link down below about the subject for anyone interested to learn how others manage to solve it. Not only I have my game constantly glitching and bugging out and a seeker chasing me 24/7, I was forced to stare at this shakiness for hours without complaining. At times, I wasn't even watching at my monitor because over time it was becoming worse and worse. The combination of low FPS and everything vibrating made me wanting to refund the game within 5 minutes of gameplay. When it comes to the replayability of the game, there is nothing else left behind. If you crafted everything, if you built all of the machines, and filled up all of your storages with loot, then the only thing you can do is build and expand. I did everything that it was possible to be done, and I started my game so many times, all within 35 hours. If you only care about repeating the same content over and over again in order to make the base of your dream, then definitely there is some value there as long as your PC can handle it. Overall, a 3 out of 10 replayability value. Although the game frustrated me many times, made me yell and scream out of frustration, punch me and beat me again and again, the game looks promising. I know, you didn't expect it. It shows that the developers actually care about their game. I see them interacting with the community on the Steam forums, but sadly even after a year they still don't have a Discord channel. I like the general idea of the game and the direction they are going, but there are a lot of things that they have to change before new things make it into the game. If I close my eyes and imagine that all of these issues were gone, then I will definitely be the first to recommend this game. It will be very irresponsible to recommend a game in such an early stage. If you are a builder and you don't really care about anything else, then sure, go ahead and waste your money. The fact that the studio doesn't want to expand, they prioritize content over bug fixing, and the lack of communication through social media makes me worry. I wasn't joking about the potential that the game has, and I am looking forward to revisit the game in a year or two. But as for now, I wasted $20 so you don't have to. The fact that this game is priced the same as Raft, it actually blows my mind how delusional someone can be. Sorry, but this is actually ridiculous. It is an insult to sell this game at that price, and even more ridiculous to compare this with Raft. Agree or disagree? Let me know down below. Thank you very much for watching, I appreciate that, and if you want to see my playthroughs live, make sure to follow ICOnlyBlue on YouTube, Facebook and Twitch. Other than that, I'm gonna see you again on the next one. Boy!